and we videotaped it for YouTube, and you could see people walking by, and every once in a while they'd hear some of my conservative rhetoric. You'd hear them kind of freeze a little bit and look up there to see what was going on. And I think that the nation itself is really hearing what the conservative values of this nation, what the people of this country are concerned about. And it's interesting. It's interesting that liberals are being put in a position where they're having to listen to another side on a lot of different issues. And I think it's really common, especially here at Kansas State University. And it reminded me of something that I noticed here that you guys may have as well. You know, here at Kansas State University, we have what we call the chalk campaign. People can go and they can write on the chalk on the sidewalk. You know, we do it for the Conscience of Kansas radio program. We have a big guest. We write down, you know, guests, and people can write different clubs. Well, I don't know if it was the Kansas State University Young Republicans. It could have been our show. It could have been anybody, but a lot of folks were writing vote Republican, November 2nd. Vote Republican. Some, you know, vote for brown bag. You know, vote conservative values. Different things were on here. Well, this is typical when you deal with liberals, especially this election cycle, because Democrats really didn't have anything to run on. You know, like Merry Christmas. You want a little unemployment in your stocking this year. You know, or you know, the stimulus plan. Sorry, that didn't work. But instead of campaigning the alternate, what you usually have when you have a battle of ideas, you present one product, the other side presents another product, and you see which one's better. Instead of, and I bet you noticed this because it happened all over the university, someone went through and just scrubbed out the Republicans. Sometimes they took chalk and they wrote on there, and they, you know, Marco Rubio and all these people, and Alan Grayson's going to be killed. And they knew this was going to happen. It was interesting. Even one time I saw a deal where someone said, don't follow what's written on sidewalks. I was like, good grief, you know, because I remember in 2008 the big 20-foot Obama insignias that were everywhere. You know, this giant, you know, the whatever with the Keebler elf emblem that marked Obama, and you didn't see Republicans or conservatives out there going, you know, we were out there battling with their ideas, but not this time. Someone went all over the campus, just smudging that out. And that typically is the way you have with liberals. Free speech is always a wonderful liberal utopia as long as it's liberal free speech. And this has been something we see all the time. And as long as conservatives are silent, you're being reasonable. As long as you shut up, you're not being angry like the Tea Party. You know, as long as you don't get in and you lose by default, you were reasonable. We had an exchange of ideas. Well, in this election, conservatives showed up. Republicans showed up. Whether it was through the Tea Party, whether it was through organizations like this that went out and chalked and said, hey, vote Republican. And we're willing to take on the attacks from liberals. And we won this battle in a much larger war. We won. And I think it's more than time to gloat and to be excited about that and put it in perspective. But it kind of goes back to my book, Oliver's Tale. Oliver's Tale is my first fiction book. It's my third book I've written. And I decided, and you know, from my usual rhetoric where I just come out and say, liberals, you're wrong about everything, okay, I decided I would create a fictional story. And sort of in the spirit of Orwell. George Orwell was a European socialist that was concerned about communism after World War II. I'm an American conservative that's also concerned about communism in the modern day world. And many of the things we see from the modern day liberal, and I decided to put it into a fictitious story using animals. And a lot of people say, well, if you're going to use animals, why don't you use tigers or lions and bears, oh my, you know. But I decided to use squirrels. And you guys, again, Kansas State University, predominantly, we see squirrels all the time. And squirrels remind me a lot of the American people in that they're not daunting, they're not scary, but they're out there working every day. Every day you'll see squirrels out there, you know, collecting nuts and filling their hoards and really, you know, doing their job. And that's sort of like the American people. American people, the heart of this country, they go out and they clock in and they clock out, they take care of their families, they take care of their friends, they give charity. And they're the backbone of this country. And so I created a story in which animals in a fictitious world forgot where all their blessings had come from. They had such a bountiful forest where so many riches were just handed to them generation after generation that they forgot where their blessings came from. And they were open and they were ripe to deceivers that would come and offer them utopian ideas. The idea that, well, we can eliminate all suffering if you give us everything you got and let us distribute it out evenly. And these deceivers were some that you know and some that you don't know. And this book deals with issues from honesty in marriage to border security to taxes to the values of the elderly. But it deals with two fundamental themes that go throughout the whole entire book. What happens when you forget where your blessings come from? And then how do you go about getting back what's lost? The animals in this forest, and I would argue in this country, we've been blessed for such a long time that we forget just where our blessings come from. We forget we don't have a knowledge of what it would be like not to have those freedoms. The last 18 months has opened a lot of people's eyes of just what can be taken away. And it's got a lot of people thinking about what will this country be like if it continues in this way. It's got people thinking of what a lot of people that spread utopias, what happens when people want to resist these socialistic utopias, in my opinion. You find that in this story, the deceiver that comes out, when people want to say, "Nah, I don't think I really want to sign up to your plan," that there's things like force and coercion and strong arming and demonizing of those. We see that today. We've seen that with the Tea Party. We see that with Republicans. You see that on the university. You see it, we were talking earlier about I haven't found a conservative teacher. They are very, very hard to find. It's very hard to find conservative voices in the university setting. And so I put this into a fictitious genre because a lot of times it's easier to wrap these ideas in a novel form. My hope is that people will think about what's going on. I hope that people can read Oliver and not only get the adventure of the story, but young aspiring thinkers like you guys, people that are going to be coming out and that are having an impact now and are going to have an impact for the future, or we're doomed. You people have to be thinking outside the box. You have to be going deeper, much, much deeper than what they're going to ask you to go in the university, because they're taking you completely to the left the majority of the time. And you're going to leave this place to this other place I call the real world, where you have to perform, where you have to be accountable for your actions. And the question is, what kind of world is that going to be? And so when I said we won a battle in the midterm, we did, but it wasn't the war. Certainly wasn't the war. And so you guys should celebrate. I think celebrating is well in order right now, because we won, they lost. We had the moral high ground, and they lost. And I have no problem saying that on the radio. I even put on an internal loop to music sometimes, because that's, I believe that you should be happy about it. But know that it's not the end game. And there are going to be big elections coming up all the way to 2012. And those that would want to demonize your values will not be easy to beat just because some got beat in 2010. Matter of fact,